Good evening, everybody. I hope you're well this evening. I'm thrilled because it's 7:30 and it's daylight, and that's just amazing. So, for those of you who don't know, I'm Nichola McLeod. I'm a coach, a mentor, a team builder, and I absolutely love supporting people to reach their full potential. I've got over 25 years' experience in business as a senior executive in the corporate world and also as a self employed entrepreneur. And tonight, we are going to look at the basics of personal branding. So, what we're going to cover off is myth busting on what personal branding isn't, why personal branding matters, what it really actually is, the benefits that can come to you, and then some really practical tips on how you can start building your own personal brand. So let's kick off straight away. I thought it would be really good give you a clue about what personal branding is about before we get into the session. I want to share with you a mixture of insights and examples, all in this 30 minutes. So by the end of the session, you've got all the basics that you need to get started. And of course, at the end, you've got an opportunity to grab a free resource. Gosh, that's quite hard to say, to help you on your way. So, as it says on the screen, personal branding is how other people perceive you, and it's shaped by what you say, how you act, how you show up, really. It's that story that people tell about you when you're not in the room. That makes sense. So let's have a little look at the things that personal branding isn't. Okay. It's just a logo or a visual identity. And whilst a logo, colours and design style, they form part of your brand, it's not the brand itself. Personal branding is more about how people perceive you based on your values, messaging, and interactions. It's also not a sales pitch, okay? Personal branding isn't about constantly promoting your products and services. It's more about building trust, showcasing like what it is that you're an expert in, providing value to people before asking for them for something back in return. It's also not about being fake or even pretending to be somebody else, okay? I know you probably hear this word, oh, my camera slipped a bit. I know you've probably heard this phrase before, authenticity, but it really is key. In your brand, it is all about people know when you're trying too hard. They know when it's not really you. So personal branding is about amplifying, making bigger your genuine strengths and stories, not creating this strange persona. And I say that because I've been there myself, given it a try, and it really doesn't work. It's also not about one size fitting all, okay? So I can't give you a perfect template for your personal brand. What works for one person isn't going to work for another, but your brand's going to be tailored to your unique experiences, values, and goals, which means that everybody who's listening to this is going to have a different brand. It's also worth saying that it's not just for influencers and celebrities. It's super beneficial for everyone, from small business owners to corporate professionals. Whether you're leading a team of people or just trying to grow your business or looking to build credibility in your field, strong brand is really going to help you to stand out. The other thing that I really want to stress is that having a strong personal brand isn't about being everywhere. It's not about being active on every social media platform going. It's focusing on where your key audience is, your key customers, or the people that you do want to influence, and showing up consistently rather than spreading yourself too thin. Big flag here. Building a personal brand takes time and consistency. This isn't something that you can do on a weekend, okay? It's quite a long-term investment in your reputation rather than it being a quick marketing tip. And finally, it's not just about an online presence, okay? We know that social media is a really powerful tool, and your personal brand It's going to be more than that. It's about how you choose to communicate in person, how you treat others, and how you contribute to your industry as a whole. So, why does personal branding matter? Okay, so if you're sat there thinking, I already know this is not for me, let's have a look at some of the reasons why it makes a difference. Okay, anybody who wants to make a sale of any description in any place, whether that's selling your own value to somebody or whether it's selling a product, the first thing that you need to do is build trust with somebody, have some kind of credibility. And when you present yourself in a really authentic manner, people feel more comfortable engaging with your business. It kind of establishes you as reliable, relatable figure in your particular market. The other thing it does is it really helps you to stand out. In a crowded market, your personal brand really differentiates you. Being memorable for being who you are makes people think of you when they need what it is that you offer. I think this is one of the most important ones. It helps to attract the right people. I know a lot of us might be thinking, do you know what? A customer is a customer, a team member's a team member, somebody who's engaging with me, like I'll just take anybody. But actually, you really want to draw in like minded people, team members who resonate with your values. It will make your life and their lives so much easier. Honestly, you want to repel those people who aren't a good fit, saving you and them loads of time and energy. And finally, it creates new opportunities. A strong personal brand often leads for a chance for you to speak at different engagements, build partnerships, get media features even. You might get invited onto a podcast or event or to collaborate with somebody. I thought at this point it would be really useful to have a look at a couple of real life examples. So even though I've said that personal branding isn't all about famous people, I've picked some famous people to have a look at just so that you can get a sense of how different they are. So I've deliberately picked them because they're really different. I think one that always springs to mind is Richard Branson. We all know him from the Virgin Group. But when we think of Richard Branson, when he's not in the room, we think about his adventurous spirit, that he's a risk taker. But he's also really quite relatable in his leadership style. I mean, his brand, the Virgin brand, it's synonymous with innovation and fun, something that you weren't quite expecting. You get all that from the way that his personal brand has worked. So, taking complete left field, my next example is Gary, and I'm really useless at pronouncing his surname. Vaynerchuk, I think is how you say it. If you've not come across him, he's an entrepreneur and an investor. Now, it couldn't be more different to Richard if you tried, because we think Richard's like very much the nice guy. You know, if there was a girl next door and a boy next door, like, he's the boy next door, isn't he? He's grown up a bit. Um, Gary is bold, he's outspoken, and he's really energetic. His brand really does revolve around hustle, authenticity, and super practical business advice. Like I said, you couldn't get more different. And speaking of the girl next door, whenever I think of that, Reese Witherspoon always springs to mind. He's shifted her brand from Hollywood actress to producer who advocates women's stories through her media company. Don't know if you know Hello Sunshine, worth having a look at. But again, she's got a very unique personal brand going on there. And my last example, Sarah Turner. Again, don't know if you would have heard of her, the Unmumsy Mum. She's built her brand by challenging the idea of perfect parenting through being funny and being really honest with what she shares. Her content really resonates with mums who appreciate that really authentic conversation about the realities of parenthood. So you've got four really different examples there of where people have built up their personal brand, their reputation. We know their values. I wonder if it's worth you having a little think about other people that spring to your mind. I mean, I could have filled this page with people that stand out to me. Simon Snape, the author and speaker, Start With Why. Really, really strong branding. Holly Tucker, co-founder of Not on the High Street. Sarah Khan, also an entrepreneur and a TV personality. They just go on the list of people who stand out. So let's get into what actually is this personal branding then? What is it all about? Okay. So the first thing, I've mentioned it already, your values and your passions. And this is why it's going to be really unique to you. It kind of identifies what you as an individual stand for. What are your non-negotiable? What excites you? And these are going to be different for everybody listening, okay? The other thing it's about is your story. People connect with stories, share your journey, including both the highs and the lows. It's part of that brand narrative, and it really builds on that authenticity and you're a reliable person because your story is everything about you. It also is about your visual identity. So this could be your logo, your color palettes and fonts that you use online, but it's also about how you appear. So are you kind of like that more formal person? Do you dress formally? Do you dress super casually? Are you somewhere in the middle? Are you always immaculately presented, or are you a scruff bag like me? What is it that identifies who you are? Our fourth one is communication style. Now, I know you might be thinking, oh, I don't know what my communication style is. Don't worry. Okay. It's about your general tone. Are you formal? Are you friendly? Are you motivational? Are you humorous? Are you all of those things? Are you none of those things? It's about making sure that the way that you choose to communicate is the same as who people are going to get when they work with you, when they partner with you. It's making sure that people know what they're getting front, okay? And finally, it's your on and offline presence. So don't want to just talk social media. Your personal brand's reflected on how you speak at events, how you write emails, how you interact with people in general. So again, that authenticity, it's everything that you naturally do, but you just bring it together in one place. Okay. So I thought I would share with you what I feel are mine on this personal branding. And for those of you who know me, it'll be interesting to see whether you think that this is what comes across, because this is what I believe my personal brand is. So first off, with those values, honesty, upfront all the time, integrity, absolutely, passion in bucket loads, and hopefully a lot of fun. Okay. Then when I look at my story, successful executive turned entrepreneur. When I wrote that, I giggled. Okay, I just thought, wow, talk about big yourself up. Your visual identity, beauty of success, the business that Andy and I run together. Pink, purple, and grey is that visual identity. Communication style. Wow, this made me laugh as well. Blunt with humour, I thought kind of covered it off. Your online and offline presence. I feel that I'm relaxed, direct, and amusing, but it might just be me. I'm amused most of the time. So I'm interested to know whether you feel that that branding is what comes across. You don't have to write chapter and verse, it just maybe a yes or a no in the chat box. Um, I wanted to give you some real examples so that you could have a little think about actually, this is not about Nichola pretending to be somebody she isn't. It's not building a persona. This is about me owning the things that I think are strengths, the things that I think make me stand out against other people. And I don't think that, you know, they all have to be amazingly positive. Looks like we're on the right track, which is absolutely fantastic. So, what are the benefits to you as a business owner? I think the biggest benefit that we have to have is the fact that it builds long-term customer loyalty. When people feel that connection to you, they not only become loyal customers, they become your advocates. Honestly, you can't pay people to become your advocate. It's something that they do naturally because they enjoy it. The other thing that comes as a surprise often, okay, it positions you as an expert. Consistently sharing valuable insight builds you as an authority in your field, whatever that field is. Being seen as as somebody who's almost leading the way in their personal brand, which, by the way, is really easy to do because it belongs to you. So you're going to be the only unique one with your brand. But leading the way with that increases your influence and opportunity. It also enhances your marketing impact. People engage with authentic stories, not just products. Your brand story makes your marketing feel more personal and less salesy. And all of this is going to lead to business growth. Strong personal branding leads to those word of mouth referrals. I'm going to come back to that. It's easier to attract clients, partners, or even somebody to invest in your business if you've got a strong brand. So the rest of this session is going to be looking at some really practical things that you can do to build your own personal brand. And I'm going to work on the assumption, because this call is Personal Brand 101, that you are totally clueless and you have zero idea where to get started, okay? Remember at the beginning, we talked about what people say when you're not in the room. So I want you to think of your personal brand as your reputation. Do you want people to say about you when you're not in the room? If you go back and think of mine and the things that I had listed there, I'm imagining they're not the same as what you would want people to say about you when you're not in the room. So it's going to be very unique to you. So where do we start? We start off by looking at your core values. We want to define your brand, okay? Number one, define your brand with your core values. Now, I've compiled together a random list of values because I wanted to give you some kind of starting place. But honestly, if you Google values, some websites have a list of 1,000. So you're bound to find two or three that really, really resonate with you. Remember one important thing about your personal brand that is going to be different to everybody else's. So you're not looking at this list thinking, oh, that looks like a good one. Okay. Don't put a different score on different values, because what is important to you is important to you, and therefore it scores really highly. It doesn't need to score really highly with everybody. We're looking to identify what is you, not what is somebody else. Okay, so that's our first thing. It's identifying two or three really strong core values of what means the most to you. Next, still part of defining a brand, strengths and passions. So I deliberately picked this picture. One I thought was quite comical and a bit cute to illustrate strength. Because it seems to be something that people really struggle with when they're talking about themselves. I don't have any strengths, none at all. And I don't really want you to look again at what you see as other people being strengths. Something that's a personal strength to you is likely to be something that you find pretty easy, which is why you won't see it as a strength, because it's not something that you have to put a lot of effort into. But you may know other people who have to put a lot of effort into that particular area. It could be that you don't struggle talking to strangers, that you find that really, really easy. You could be the most organized person on the planet. You could love planning. You could love cleaning. There's going to be something in there that you're like, oh no, that's just really easy for me. Okay, so that's how you're going to identify your strength. Passions. These are the things that bring you joy. Okay. Was thinking of family just make you grin? Is it travel that lights your fire, or maybe it's animals or something completely different? We're looking for the things that really float your boat. And I can't emphasize enough, it's going to be different for everybody. Okay. We're not trying to match ourselves up. We're trying to identify our personal brand. Okay. So thinking about what just fills you with joy, what just makes you the happiest version of yourself. And it's likely to be the things that you're passionate about. So finally, on defining your brand, problem solving. What problem is it that you actually solve for your target audience? And this is going to become part of your key message. Okay. It could be beauty needs or skincare. It could be health concerns, financial concerns, personal development, confidence building. It could be anything. You need to have a think about what is the problem that you're solving for people and build that into the brand that you have. Now, once you've done those three steps, you can then move on to step two, which is knowing your audience. So this is about defining your ideal customer or business partner. What are their challenges, desires, and values? And try tailoring your messaging to resonate with those people. And for God's sake, don't overthink it. Are they old or young? Are they male or female? Are they based in the UK? Are they all over the world? Do they have kids? Do they not have kids? Are they employed? Are they unemployed? Do they like travel? Do they hate travel? That kind of thing of just going through, what does your key audience look like? Who are the types of people that you want to attract? You'll then move on to step number three, crafting your story. And this is simply about identifying key moments in your personal and professional journey. Please don't be afraid to show vulnerability. It makes you more relatable. And think of your story as the heart of your brand. Once you've got some of that story down on a bit of paper, you're going to master your introduction, okay? Can you clearly and confidently explain who you are and what you do in 30 seconds? Have a simple, engaging personal introductions ready, whether it's when you're networking for a social media bio or just a casual conversation. It's something that really resonates with you and your personal brand. We can then work on being super intentional with our first interactions with people, okay? Personal branding isn't just about what you say, it's how you show up in every interaction, whether it's in person, on a Zoom call, by email. You want to ensure that your tone, your energy, and your messaging align with that personal brand. Dress in a way that reflects your brand, and that doesn't mean expensive clothes, it just means a signature style that is you. And for me, that's going to be like, I'm polar opposites, I am, right? You get two styles with me. Number one is I'm at home and I've got the same pairs of leggings on that I put on, I think, on Friday. We're now on day 4 of wearing the same leggings. It is a clean top today. I'm rather proud of myself. I did wear it the same t-shirt for 2 days and 3 days in a row. Um, you get that really comfy with it. Really doesn't bother me. It's who I am. And then I go out, and then I want to wear like the prettiest dress that like ever walked the planet. Um, I don't know how these two go together, but they do go together, and it's definitely me, and it belongs to me. That might not be you. In fact, it'd worry me if it was. So it's thinking about, how do you identify yourself? And these are probably subconscious things that you've never thought of. Now, I did say I was going to come back to this, leveraging referrals, right? Now, this is something that I'm super passionate about. Let me know if you've ever shopped online. Ever shopped online, anything online, especially thinking of Amazon right now, maybe Shein, you pick next, you pick them. Before picking the item that you want to buy, did you look at the rating, like the stars or whatever system the website use? These are ratings from strangers, from people that you don't even know. And you actually value their opinion. Then book a holiday? Let me have a look at the reviews for the hotel I'm thinking of booking. What do other people think? People I've never met in my entire life. what's their opinion? What's the majority of people saying here? Because if the majority of people think it's excellent or good, then it's good enough for me. If the majority of people think it's average or rubbish, then I'm not interested. So let's take that back to ourselves and our personal brand. Happy customer, a friend, a colleague, to introduce you to new potential customers. Offer referral incentives. That's something that you can do. Make sure that people associate you with your area of expertise. If they're thinking beauty business or side hustle, your name should come into mind. It's making sure that you actually use that referral system that everybody understands and grab some for yourself. I think, I'm trying to think, this is the one but last one, but not one, okay, being consistent. So I said at the beginning, the colour palette that chosen to use is grey, pink and purple. Do you know what? I've picked these pictures out that are here. They've been, so the one on the bottom right hand corner, that photo must be more than 10 years old. More than 10 years old, I reckon. The one above it is about 3 years old. And the one in the personal branding photo is a few months old. There's a consistency there with, like, if you're going to see me, I'm going to have purple in there somewhere. Makes it easy, makes it so bloody easy to always have purple featured somewhere. It's consistent and people know what they're going to get. Yeah, it's when I used to wear makeup. I had to wear it for work, and that's why it doesn't look like me, because I'm not the kind of person who wears makeup. You don't have to go to a lot of effort here. This is not about buying a wardrobe that matches your colour scheme or anything like that. It's just about being recognisable for something. Again, trying to get it so that you stand out. And it isn't difficult if you're being authentic and not trying to be somebody that you don't. I genuinely like the colour purple. I don't have to pretend that I do. Don't get overwhelmed by the thought of this. Just be mindful that you want to be easily identifiable. It's not just your appearance, it's also in how you are. It's actually okay not to be the happiest person on the planet if that's not who you are. It's a great selling point because everybody's trying to be bleeding happy, aren't they? And I want to engage and add value, right? The most important word is the one at the end, value. Most valuable content that solves people problems, entertains them, or inspires them. Engage with your audience through the comment stories and discussions. And don't be afraid to share opinions and to show your personality. So I thought I'd pop up some recent examples, okay? Every day I tend to do a quotey type post. I love inspiring myself and inspiring other people. Therefore, it aligns with my personal brand. I don't like all that fluffy mumbo jumbo stuff, then it's not going to align with you, and it's okay. I want to attract people who it does align with. You can see that you'll never get me taking a photo that hasn't got me pulling a silly face, because I'm not the best at selfies. And I'm okay with that, therefore I just take advantage of it. 747 views, 46 interactions just by popping up that I'd bought a book. And then real success, which surprised me, on a reel that I did that was just about the number of bloody photos I took to find one that I'd be happy about, for a news story, nearly 1,400 views, which I thought was absolutely ridiculous. So I was just taking the mickey out of myself. And that goes back to my point. Valuable content doesn't have to be something that you're teaching somebody. It can solve someone's problem, it can entertain them, it can inspire them. That makes it valuable. So don't think that it's got to be like a teachable moment for it to be valuable. Making people laugh has huge value. If that's who you are, go for it. Oh, I lied. I thought, was it 7 or 8 that I had? It's 8. This is our last one. Now, I have said don't spread yourself too thin, but what I would say, okay, try and pick the platform that when you've identified your audience and you know who they are, try and pick the platform that they're most active on. So you can't really do that before you've decided who it is that you're trying to attract. There's absolutely no point. If I've decided that I'm after 20-year-old women in the UK, there's no point in me building a brand on Facebook because you ain't going to find any. You're not. You need to think about your audience and where they're going to be. However, instead of spreading yourself thin, something that you really ought to think about is repurposing the same content across different channels. You can take a snippet out of something and share it on a different platform without creating yourself more work. Again, keeping it tied in with your personal brand, it makes you easily identifiable. And if you're standing out to somebody and they find what you're doing interesting, valuable, they will follow you on the platform that you're the most present on. Okay. So I hope you found that session really, really useful. It would be brilliant if you'd be kind enough to drop in the chat box any light bulb moments that you had or something that you think that you can start working on straight away. This is a habit for me. I've got a free handout. This time it's a 7-day personal branding challenge. So it takes you through a lot of what we've just looked at, just a day at a time of you building up that personal brand. If you'd like a copy of it, just drop me an email to nichola@beautyofsuccess.co.uk. And I'm particularly excited about next week because it's effective communication. And I absolutely adore anything to do with communication because every time I do a session on it, I up my own game and I get a little bit better. So I'm really looking forward to that one. Thank you so much for joining me.